So Jake Dluhy-Smith is the founder and CEO of Oaks Lab, and a startup tech partner built by Jake and his brother, Theo. They're focused on creating custom web and mobile applications for business innovators. So Jake has a background in product management, led over 20 greenfield software product builds. I'm very excited for this conversation today. Thanks for being here, Jake.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
So before we dive in, could you take us through the story of your career and development, kind of what encouraged you to build your own company? And I would love to hear this backdrop of the name as well.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. I started building software products over 13 years ago. And I'm half Czech, half American. I grew up in California, right actually in Silicon Valley, and was always kind of surrounded by game-changing, revolutionary ideas that have turned into businesses that have shaped our world from a tech perspective. And so I was always inspired and attracted to the tech startup scene. And then I moved out to Prague, Czech Republic 8 years ago now to start Oaks Lab. And my background's in product development. I was fortunate to be leading product efforts for a few venture-backed startups from a product perspective. And there I really saw how it's really important, even though you have this amazing idea, that's this grand vision, it's really important to, at the beginning, at the early stages, take this idea and turn it into something that is much smaller than this grand vision, to build like a minimum viable product that you can launch on the market with that will give you the highest chances of building something successful. And through my experience working with a few venture-backed startups, and then I moved onto the service side where I worked as a COO for a digital development agency based out of Philadelphia, where we built remote and distributed product development teams kind of all around the world for startups and corporates in the US. I saw again the need to really get product right from the beginning. Usually, the American founders that I have the pleasure to work with have these grand visions, and they want to build everything at once. And that's not the best way to start. And so it's a real art to identify what are those first two features that you need to build that will really move the needle to help you achieve your business outcomes that you set out to achieve in the beginning. That's why I started Oaks Lab, to help as many founders as possible get product right from the beginning to give them the highest chances of achieving product market fit.
That's such a profound statement. A lot of people have these great visions, but then it's very tough to find the next logical step forward. And so, choosing the right partner, especially for a lot of companies who are looking for outsourcing, it's difficult. Tech leaders sometimes don't know what to look for. A lot of the sales pitches are the same. They're very salesy and, hey, we can build this. And then, tech stacks are cool, but finding the right partner is very important. So you always have a lot of experience as a product partner to clients. Maybe a little bit, we'd love to ask you also to elaborate on what that means. Do you help with resourcing, just the product? And then, looking past the initial kind of pitch when they're giving you their spiel about how to find a partner, what really, can reveal a partner's true technical capabilities versus just like good salesmanship?
Yeah, so it's really tricky because sales teams are out there to sell, and they can create the most captivating proposal, but then when you kick off the collaboration, you can oftentimes find out that it's much different than the sales pitch was. From my experience, what really impressed me is actually a founder not too long ago who reached out to us, and we got to know him through the sales process. He actually said, I don't want to see a proposal in a PDF presentation. I actually just want you to walk me through the product development process. Pick one of your most recent projects. Walk me through how you guys do documentation. Open up the Figma file with the product designs. Show me how you structure the Figma file. Open up the code base and let me take a look at under the hood. and then walk me through the demo environment, and then give me access to this demo environment so I can kind of click around and poke around myself. And I actually thought that's kind of the best way to vet a company, is to really take a look under the hood and go through the details on a real live project, to get basically a real view of how the company is at face value. So I thought that was a really interesting way to vet a company, and that's probably what I would do as well if I was choosing my tech partner. Because yeah, as you said, the sales team can create an amazing deck, but what you're actually buying as someone who's outsourcing their technology, you're buying much more than just a few slides, of course.
Yeah, you're looking for a partner, so show me the kitchen.
Yes, exactly.
Who's going to be in there?
Yes, sir.
So when you're choosing a partner, especially a lot of times, industry is important. So in your opinion, how important is that? Are there times when it's less crucial, and industry experience for the partner for your company?
Yeah, so I think it really depends on what industry the company is in that they're looking to outsource their tech to,
Mhm.
and more importantly, what role they're looking for their outsourcing partner to provide. Whether it's really just staff augmentation on the delivery side to deliver as many features as quickly as possible in the highest quality way. Then I don't really think industry experience has that much significance. But on the other side, if they're really looking for a partner to drive product strategy and discovery, I think that having industry experience can really speed up the process, and not introduce such a high learning curve that it sometimes is required for a new team to come on. So I think that first, the person who's looking to outsource should really look at what role they'd like the partner to provide, and then based on that, come to the conclusion of what experience they should have in the industry. If they're looking for a partner to really drive product strategy and really own the product discovery of identifying the features that really move the needle, not only for the business, but are features that users are willing to pay for and happy to pay for, then I think in the sales process, what's important to look for is actually the outsourcing partner providing some sort of product value already in the sales process, whether it's taking the idea that they've received and trying to make it a little bit better, or even challenging the idea, and coming up with an alternative approach that will actually achieve the business value for the company that's looking to outsource. So one other thing that I think it's also important to look for is for a partner that really tries to understand what are the business goals of building the product. Because once you uncover those business goals, then you can really create the product strategy to achieve those business goals. And most likely, the scope really will change through market insights and through achieving those business goals.
I'm glad you brought up business goals, because everything in development always goes perfectly, right? Nothing ever breaks. Just kidding. Everything is always, there's problems to solve. Partners need to be adaptable, and so technical skills are important, but you got to understand how your partner is going to problem solve, right? So if we get in a crunch or we need to switch context on what we're doing, do you have any specific scenarios where kind of the partners or your experience from Oaks Lab, like the problem solving, how that made a difference?
Yeah, definitely. So starting in the sales process, what we always do is we try and outline the risks before the project starts. And we actually have like 3 or 4 slides in the proposal about the potential risks that the project could have. So for example, when we're working with big visionary founders, one slide that we like to always add there is having unrealistic expectations for the MVP. So to already kind of plant the seed at the beginning of the collaboration, like these couple things could potentially turn into bigger challenges. But obviously we're not just negative about it, that these will be issues, we also add another slide, which is this is how we'll help you mitigate them. And so then this lays the groundwork to actually have the challenging conversation a little bit later down the line, and kind of manage expectations. Another great way then, once the project started and risks do pop up, is to actually have a process in place to routinely communicate about difficult and challenging topics. So on the kickoff call, once we've closed the deal and kicked off the collaboration, we ask our partner, our clients, to be super direct with us and really honest with us. And then we have retros at the end of every sprint, where we ask them for feedback and ask them to, honestly tell us if they think we could have done something better, or if there's something that's on their mind that they weren't talking about during the sprint, but they believe should be addressed. And so creating the space throughout the project so to talk about these challenges is really important, and having just an open line of communication so that the mismanaged expectations don't come up at the end and blow up in everyone's face at the end of the collaboration.
I think for a lot of people who are going to see this video, that might be the secret sauce, right? So
yeah,
a lot of the times people are afraid to bring up issues, and then at the end, how many times do you hear we spent too much, it wasn't on time? And part of that is both sides to blame, where I think one thing you said was perfect. You got to set up a space for that. And so creating a space where you have retrospectives, if something goes wrong, you have an incident report, or just be completely frank early. The goal of these outsource firms is to build a partnership, not just like a 1 and 0 relationship where you deliver and you pay. So I think that was fantastic.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Agree more.
But, with that being said, disagreements do come along, and you talked about a space. Do you have any kind of approaches or recommendations for people when disagreements do come up on how they should deal with them?
Yeah, so it also depends on, where the challenges lie. Sometimes, so just to kind of paint a little bit of a wider picture of how we work at Oaks Lab. So what we do at Oaks Lab is we deploy dedicated teams of all the roles required to build a successful product. So think product manager, tech lead, design lead, engineers, and QA, that then get inserted into the client's organization to build out their product. And so sometimes there can be challenges within, like on the team level, where maybe the stakeholder has some issue with a specific team member, but they might not feel like comfortable saying it to them directly. So we give them the opportunity to do that directly to the team during the retros. But then we also have another line of communication with our COO and partner, who has biweekly meetings just with the stakeholder to give them the opportunity to kind of give their perspective, not necessarily in front of the team. And that sometimes allows us to uncover things that they might have not been comfortable sharing with the team. Not that because they don't want to be direct with them, but maybe because they thought the timing wasn't right, or they didn't want to have a negative impact on motivation. And so offering like an alternative line of communication, I think, really helps. And then how to solve these issues, it's really specific on like what issue comes up. But I would always tie it back down to the business goals. So if you have a really good understanding of what the business goals are of your stakeholders, and everybody's aligned, the stakeholder, the outsourcing firm, and the team that's building out that product for the company, whenever this issue arises, you can go back to kind of first principles, uncover, why is this issue coming up? And what do we need to do to solve it? And is it really impacting the business goals, and by how much? And that gives you a nice way to kind of size out how big the issue is and what you need to do to solve it, so that you just keep your eyes on solving the business goals together as a partner and as a client.
So building it together. One question I was going to ask actually is about culture, but I think you nailed it right there. So in terms of culture in general, it's very important that you have, what are some things you look for? And because culture is important to solve those issues, because if you don't have that, and you don't have these spaces, and some of the kind of tactics that you brought up won't be as effective. Is there anything you look for when choosing a development partner?
So, um, well, first of all, a lot of the kind of there's broadly speaking, and focusing mainly on companies from the U.S. that are looking to outsource offshore. They're kind of three main markets: LATAM, Europe, and Eastern Europe, and then India. And I think each geography has a very unique culture with its pros and cons. And me being half Czech, half American, I think I'm in a pretty good spot to be able to assess the differences between the U.S. culture and the Czech culture, so Central European culture. And I think it's really important, firstly, for the client that's looking to outsource to really nail what is really important to them. So if they want to create a culture like a results first culture where all the team cares about is achieving the objective, or whether they're trying to create a more innovative environment where they want, where maybe deadlines and results aren't as important as creating something really innovative. And so I think it's really important first for the company that's looking to outsource to really think about what's important for them. And then when they're interviewing potential teams to outsource to, they should just make sure that that team has that similar mindset. And then maybe doing a little bit of research on and there's plenty of videos on YouTube and long form content about the nuances of each of those three geographies that I mentioned. But doing a little bit of research in advance, I think, can help so that you can really understand your counterpart a little bit more. Because sometimes, and now speaking for the Czech side, people are super direct in the Czech Republic. And for US founders, it can be sometimes like a shock and almost feel like people are a little rude, but it's not the case at all. It's just part of the culture. So doing a little bit of research on the culture can also help overcome challenges that aren't even there.
I love that. And no beating around the bush. We have teams in Poland, we have teams in Eastern Europe. I'm originally from Eastern Europe and then moved to America at a young age. And the directness sometimes was funny because people would like, are they being mean? No, it's just, you almost want that. I don't want them to tell me a problem 3 weeks later. I want them now.
100%.
So
yeah, totally. And then on the flip side, our teams in the Czech Republic go, the founders are just so positive that they must be fake. And it's not true. That's just the American, dreamer mindset of just like anybody can go and do it. So it's funny.
I love what you said though about that, because I think one thing people need to understand, it's not just what they pitch you, but there are resources to show you cultural differences. And those are not necessarily bad things, but they can show you, okay, well, if I choose a partner in Poland or Czech, or this is what I should be expecting. And then, it is also part of the company's, they need to adapt to it as well. It's not just, hey, this is the way they work or we work. So
exactly. And you can create like the perfect blend. Honestly, from my career, I really love combining kind of the strong technical teams from Central and Eastern Europe with big American visionary founders. I think you can create something special. So if you can mix these cultures together, and great things can happen.
Yeah. No, we feel it at Clutch as well. I mean, we're big on outsourcing, both on the people we have on the site, but we personally go about it, and we have teams all over the world. So,
Nice.
so what misconceptions maybe do you think people have in the selection process, that might avoid them causing or having issues in the future?
Yeah, so this might come as an obvious one, but I can't tell you how many companies that we've had the opportunity to work with that have outsourced and burned their hands the first time around. And the number one reason is they went for the cheapest option. And so while price is a very important factor in the business decision of who to outsource to, if it is the number one reason, and you go for the cheapest option, usually you'll have a bad outcome. And the reason for that is that, the quality usually isn't there. And then most of the time, companies have to then end up rebuilding things
Mhm.
and then spending sometimes double the amount of money. And so for the founders that have or companies that have outsourced the first time around and burned their hands, then price usually isn't the biggest issue for them, and then they have to learn the hard way. And so if you don't go for the cheapest option right out of the gate, you'll actually end up saving money and you'll build a higher quality product.
Do you think that's because they, I mean, I kind of understand that because when it's too cheap, you actually spend more money later fixing it. You don't have the
Yeah.
proper documentation. Sometimes when you have senior level developers, they're probably more critical thinking about, like you mentioned before, business decisions, not just I'm coding, I'm coding, I'm coding, I'm deploying, I don't care with it. So yeah, that's a great note to put out into the world that cheaper is not better, especially in development.
100%. And then you end up spending more, which
Yeah.
is just tough.
Cool. No, I appreciate all that. We have a few last fun questions and then, really appreciate your time. If you could only keep one app on your phone, which one would it be?
So I'm a huge sports fan. I love to watch all sports. And I have my favorite sports teams. So I love to keep track of their results. So I watch, or I always have Flash Score open in the background. So Flash Score would be number one. And if close number two is probably Revolut, so I can track my stock investments.
Who is your team, if you
So
don't
I'm a
mind?
big fan of Arsenal
Okay,
in soccer.
nice. Do you have any go-to podcasts that you can't get enough of or are listening to right now?
So I've loved the All In podcast. I've been listening to that for
One of my
years.
favorite.
And then also Lex Friedman's pretty great too. Especially a couple of weeks ago or maybe a few months ago, he had like a series with different university professors talking about different time periods in history, and I love history, so that was also great.
That one might lead into the last question here. So if you weren't in software and web dev, let's get to know Jake a little. What career would you be in?
So I'm a big soccer fan, and I grew up playing soccer. I played at a semi-professional level, and I had big dreams of becoming the next Ronaldo. That definitely did not happen. But if I wouldn't be in tech, I would be either still trying to pursue my career playing football, or somewhere in management, managing a football club.
Hey, maybe even one day you can still manage a club,
Maybe.
Call it the Oaks Club. No, I
Love it.
appreciate your time, Jake, sharing your insights, expertise. I think there was quite a bit of nuggets in here that are very useful. And, we feel it. I know you feel it with all your partners. At Clutch, we offer a lot of outsource and custom support development. So we have clients and partners all over the world. Um, so can't wait to see how you continue to lead and innovate the space. And thanks again for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. And I do want to say a few positive things about Clutch. It's been actually a game changer for us. And we've been on Clutch over the last, well, since starting the company, but we've been giving it more attention in the last maybe 2 years. And it's been a great source of really high quality companies that we've had the opportunity to work with. And so you guys are doing great things, and I just appreciate the
Amazing to
opportunity.
hear.